Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, I think that we are about to see a massive breakout on Bitcoin. Even as I am recording this, it looks like Bitcoin is just about to break above $125,700, the all-time high that was set on Sunday. And I firmly believe in our price target that we set about a month ago that says that Bitcoin is going to rally up to at least $130,000 by October 15th. That is only 9 days away. And if we are able to confidently break through 125, I personally believe that we're going to see a much larger rally that once again will probably drive us to at least 130, if not even as high as $140,000. So in today's video, we are going to be breaking down this breakout and figuring out exactly where Bitcoin is going to go, when, and why. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because we are currently racing Bitcoin to $250,000 on Bitcoin subs for the channel. We're only 3,000 subscribers away, so I think we're going to win this one. But after that, it's on to 500 and a million. So hit that subscribe button. And without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Bitcoin is currently trading at $125,400. Even though this video will be live in as little as an hour. Normally I shoot these videos several hours ago, but I wanted to shoot this pretty close to the upload date because it does look like a breakout's about to occur. Bitcoin may have been broken out by the time you see this video, but that's why we're going to talk about what the breakout is going to look like when it happens, whether that's today or whether that's in a week. But I am quite convinced that we are going to see it happen today, and I'm going to break down exactly why, just in case Bitcoin still hasn't broken out by the time this video goes live. And the main reason for that is because Bitcoin is on a massive rally here. We saw a very strong uptrending level of support that had kind of underpinned Bitcoin's rally over the last few days. And that was a rally that looked like this. As you can see, we had a very strong safety line here. Some of you guys will have taken profits right in this zone. 123,000 was not a bad place to take a little bit of profit. I've seen several people say that we entered at 102, we entered at 109, we entered at 115, we just exited 50% of the trade in profit. We're letting the rest of it ride. These are all great strategies, nothing wrong with that at all. But what we ended up seeing happen after that was Bitcoin established just a slightly more shallow safety line right here. But the interesting thing is you can tell in the price action that we're going parabolic. You can tell that this is a much more sustained rally over the last 24 hours than what we saw originally, which is we just wicked up to 127. What happened here, this was built on short liquidations. And that's what I want to really talk about today, is the fact that this rally that we're seeing today looks different than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, Bitcoin saw quite a few shorts get liquidated. If we go over to coinglass.com, look at our liquidation data here, we will see that a large number of short trades got liquidated. As you can see, we had, $90 million of shorts getting liquidated here. At midnight, we saw $72 million here, and even over the last few hours, we've seen several $1 million of shorts getting liquidated. If we look at the heat map, you're also going to see how Bitcoin basically immediately over the course of the last 24 hours rallied up to 125,000, hit a bunch of short liquidations. If we come down here to, let's say, 12 hour, just kind of zoom in, you can see there was quite a few short liquidations up here that Bitcoin ended up hitting. And that's why Bitcoin had that, that really sizable spike up. But now what's happening is Bitcoin cleared out the order books above the previous all-time high. This was kind of a testing breakout, right? We technically did set a new all-time high yesterday, but what ended up happening is we basically just thinned out the order books and had our predicted correction. On Friday, we predicted that Bitcoin would see at some point in the next week, so that is before this Friday, a $2,000 to $5,000 correction because it needs to basically just consolidate. Yesterday, we saw a $3,400 correction, so that fits that. And even as I'm recording this, it's 1 p.m. This video will be out in exactly an hour, unless things go crazy and I send it out earlier. And we just closed the hourly candlestick, the highest that we ever did, literally as I'm recording this. This is a recorded video, but honestly, a lot of it's happening in real time right now. That's the highest hourly candlestick close in the history of the Bitcoin market. And so I firmly expect at some point in the next hour, we're going to see a major, major breakout. And if things start popping off, I'll just upload this video a little bit earlier than I normally would at 2. But I'm very confident that you're going to see a test of $125,700 very soon. So let's run through our two scenarios. I'm going to tell you which one I think is more likely, but I want you to be prepared for either. There is one scenario where Bitcoin hits the all-time high again, we double top and we fall back down to this uptrending level of support, or maybe we fall back down to 123. Or just in general, people take profits, right? There is you do have a kind of a confidence crisis when you're breaking through an all-time high. And the reason for that is because people are taking profits. This is the take profit for most people's long trades. And I will say this, if you're in a long trade over 10x leverage, you should be taking at least some profits here. you should be doing that because your trade plan, if you actually instituted a trade plan, you were following some kind of chart formation. Maybe you were saying, I'm trading the breakout of this inverse head and shoulders pattern. My price target based on the trend lines, based on the inverse INH, my price target is $130,000. I'm going to take, 25% of profits at 125. I'm going to take the other profits at 130. Sure, that's something that you might be doing. You also might have been looking at the 4-hourly chart and you said, okay, there's another inverse head and shoulders pattern down here. And it looks like this. We have our uptrending level of resistance right here. And if you'll notice, the price target on that is, up here at 121, right? But also, any kind of trading plan that you should have been going into would have most likely had some kind of stop right here around the all-time high. So it's not a bad idea to take some profits. And then basically, as soon as we break through, you can just re-enter. Literally, that's all you got to do. So if Bitcoin does reject here, it's not a bad idea to take some profits in this zone around 125.5. That's what a lot of big whales are doing, and they're doing it for a good reason. $125,000 is a big even. That said, I don't think Bitcoin is done running here. Our prediction from last month is by October 15th, $130,000, right? So I do think we're going to keep running. So if we do have a falling over and we fall back down to 124, 123, then what ends up happening is you took profits in the best possible place, and you can even re-enter down here if you want to. On the other hand, if we do just break straight through here, that also gives us another entry because I think $130,000 is our next stop based on a lot of analysis that we've been doing. And so if that's the case, then we enter into a long trade here at, say, 126, put a very conservative stop loss, put a take profit up here at 130. You've got a risk to reward ratio north of 10x. It's a very simple risk to reward ratio trade where you would most likely be catching a major breakout here on Bitcoin. And so I am leaning in the direction that Bitcoin is about to just put in a God candle. And that's why this video might actually go out a little bit earlier than it is typically scheduled to go out at 2 p.m. just because I want you guys to see this. I think that you're about to see, based on this hourly close that we saw 3 minutes ago, a pretty sizable breakout. And when you do, by the way, there's going to be a lot of shorts that get liquidated. We've got several $100 million worth of short trades with liquidation prices up here around 126 that are probably going to get knocked out. And so we are most likely about to see some very serious volatility because volatility has been constraining. We look at the 4-hour chart, look at Bollinger Bands, right? We look at our volatility indicators. What you're going to see is volatility is getting very, very, very constricted, right? It's kind of hard to see. We need to find a good chart for it. But volatility is constricting. We're getting stuck between this uptrend and that flat level of resistance. And so what we need to pay attention to right now is how Bitcoin is going to respond to this constricted environment. We're going to bounce around in here for a little bit. And all we need to see is for Bitcoin to confirm a breakout above this flat level of resistance. Once again, that is at $125,700. And then from that point in time, we go on a big rally. And here's the cool thing. If Bitcoin does have a big rally like that, then that means that we have basically reached escape velocity from the last several months' all-time highs. The last major all-time high that we set before what we did yesterday on Sunday was here at 123. If we manage to break through 125.7, then we've basically reached escape velocity, and people are coming to understand that we're going to see a much higher base, right? You can even see how much time we've spent trading up here above $123,000. We spent, in grand total, maybe 4 to 8 hours up here above 123 the last times that we hit these levels. In this point in time, we have already spent a few days up here above $122,000. So it's becoming very obvious that Bitcoin is entering into a new range of trading. Our previous range of trading was roughly between 109 and 124. Right now, we're going into a range of trading that's probably going to look something like 118 to 150. And we'll see those levels get established over probably the next few minutes to hours, honestly, but then also over the next few days. So I'm not going to go to full screen because I want to capture this if a breakout happens, but I do also want to talk a little bit about why Bitcoin is going to have such a bullish Q4, what to expect, and what Q1 and Q2 are going to look like. So let's start off with why we're going to see such a bullish Q4. The basics for any of you guys who don't know it. First and foremost, we have something called seasonality in Bitcoin, and that is basically Bitcoin does certain things based on what month it is. These are historical averages that show up time and time again in the chart. For example, September is on average the worst month for Bitcoin. Bitcoin averages a 4.5 to 5% drop in September. Well, on the monthly chart for Bitcoin this time, we saw Bitcoin put in, as you can see, about a 5.3% movement, right? Let's go back down here to the hour chart because Bitcoin's really trying to break out as we talk right here. And so Bitcoin having a much more bullish September than it normally does, in fact, one of the most bullish Septembers in history, validates the average October and November. The average October sees a 20% growth. The average November sees a 40% growth. And so if we saw a 20% growth off of 118 or so where October started, then we would see Bitcoin trading at $139,000 by the end of this month. That's why these long trades above all-time high are so great. This is a very risky place to be if you're already in a long, but the second we break that, it becomes an extremely low risk, right? Risk builds, 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 builds. And then once we get above, it completely falls through the floor and the risk disappears because Bitcoin, not disappears, but it drops significantly because Bitcoin is going to see most likely a parabolic breakout here pretty soon. So you're looking at $139,000 Bitcoin based on the historical averages. And then based on the November averages, which is a 40% movement, you're looking at basically a $190,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin possibly by the end of November, followed in Q1 by what may amount to a 40 to 50% bear market. Tops, I don't think you're going to see a 70% bear market, but you might see a 40 to 50% bear market. You might see Bitcoin go to 190, then drop back down to 95. You might see Bitcoin go to 220 and drop back down to 110. But I do think that we are possibly just a few tens of thousands of dollars above where the bear market bottom is going to be. I don't see Bitcoin going back to 30 or going back to 50. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And I have a lot of contacts in all the different exchanges and all the different just people in cryptocurrency, mostly a lot of the exchanges, and most exchanges, most people in crypto are forecasting a moderate to if a 2017 style bull market is a 100%, we're looking at like a 50 to 60, 70% of that kind of just not insane, absolute just crazy blow off top where Bitcoin goes to 300K, but something like a 175 to 200K Bitcoin by the end of this year. And then you'd be looking at, again, about a 40 to 50% bear market, much more mild bear market that would take place according to the 4-year halving cycle around that time frame. So I think the 4-year halving cycle is breaking, but it's possible that the 4-year halving cycle is breaking in the sense of instead of seeing 70% bear markets, now we're going to see 40 to 50% bear markets. So what we want to do right now is we want to prepare by taking these trades. I mean, watch, as I'm speaking here, Bitcoin's going to probably break out. I'm going to send this video live as soon as I'm done talking so you can see it. We can get into these trades. And then I think you're going to see a Q1 bear market. So a lot of money is about to be made. And I also want to talk a little bit about gold. The reason that Bitcoin is doing so well is because gold is currently, as we speak, I don't want to switch over to my screen, but as we speak, is sitting right below $4,000 an ounce. Gold is extremely overextended. It might not need a massive correction, but it is probably going to see some capital rotation. People are rotating out of gold to put into Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is about to massively correct. Again, I don't want to show you the charts. I don't want to miss this breakout, but right now, normally I'd be showing you the Bitcoin to gold parity chart. The Bitcoin to gold parity chart is absolutely phenomenal because typically you're seeing that Bitcoin is actually kind of getting left behind against gold because gold has rallied so much. Well, Bitcoin's going to correct that, right? And Bitcoin's going to close that gap. It's going to go up to 10%, 12%, 14%, 15%, 20% of the market cap of gold, and that's going to send Bitcoin parabolic because not only is Bitcoin growing against the dollar, it's growing against gold, and gold is growing against the dollar, so it's actually growing on top of Bitcoin. Sorry, it's growing on top of gold. So the characteristics of what we've seen in the gold rally recently is going to significantly help Bitcoin over the course of Q4. As gold continues to skyrocket, it's going to send Bitcoin even higher. So what I expect, honestly, is by the time this video comes out, you will probably have seen the Bitcoin market doing this number. We have a lot of very strong support. We've just kind of inched up here, eating through the order book. A lot of people that were selling have sold. We're not just having a flash crash, right? We're just kind of inching up here on the minute chart. Looks very healthy so far. I think you're going to see a breakout very soon, hoping that we catch it on camera here before I finish all my talking points. But I think that it's going to be an excellent opportunity to go into a long trade right here. Again, tight stop loss, set a trailing stop loss, because we do want to remember that on the daily chart, Bitcoin is getting quite overextended on RSI. At some point, you're going to have a correction. Maybe we go up to 127, 128, and we drop back down to 124, right? That could very easily happen. So just keep your tight trailing stop losses intact. And as Bitcoin attempts to break all-time high as we watch it here, we will be continuing to bring you guys content. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We are going to essentially just continue watching Bitcoin, seeing what it does here. And I think that you're going to have a very bullish Q4. So one thing I do want to mention while we look at the charts here is today's video is brought to you in part by iTrust Capital. If you guys have not started investing in Bitcoin using your IRA, then you absolutely should. You can do that over on iTrust Capital. Highly recommend that, and the reason for that is simply because you are going to be able to capitalize on tax deferral strategies, tax avoidance strategies, while also being able to invest directly in spot Bitcoin. Not even in ETFs. You're able to invest directly into Bitcoin, directly into gold, directly into silver, but most importantly, directly into Bitcoin through iTrust Capital. So if you haven't signed up for iTrust Capital yet, you absolutely should. Use the link down below. Once you fund your account, you're going to get $100 for free, and you're also going to be able to take advantage of those tax benefits. So once again, check out iTrust Capital. Also, check out their PCA, the premium custody accounts. Basically, this is a one-way in, one-way out account that basically makes it impossible for you to be hacked. You know, a lot of people lose money every year because they put money into exchanges. And then when they put the money into the exchange, they get hacked. Somebody sets up another withdrawal, and then they just withdraw it to their wallet, and then you're done for. These premium custody accounts that iTrust have is basically you can only put money in through your bank account, and you can only withdraw money to your bank account, and you can't change it. So they can't. If somebody did compromise your password, they can't withdraw money anyway. So very exciting stuff. So check out iTrust Capital. Links down below. We really appreciate what they're doing. So. The only reason that the video is still going here is because I'm trying to see if this is going to get caught on camera. Not sure if it is. Not sure if it is, but we're like right here. And something I want to point out is that Bitcoin is right here, and we're not, you know, just running up the order book. Because that's what happens when you have a God candle like this. What you're doing is you're running up the order book. Everybody's selling. Everybody who's in a short trade is getting liquidated, right? And you're triggering automatic buys, and you're triggering automatic stop losses, and so it's just kind of an automatic rally. This, on the other hand, is not really the same thing. It's people getting excited. And so that's what I'm hoping for, is that we will see exuberance push us just a little bit above 125.7 rather than what we saw before, which was basically just a bunch of people got liquidated. That's pretty much how we set this high at 125.7. The number itself doesn't really make any sense. The fact that we got there is because of the automatic trading, the automatic stop losses, automatic purchases. So we're hoping that we'll be able to see some kind of big movement to the upside. But as you can see, that's kind of what I'm talking about. We've got to give it some time. Bitcoin's having a bit of a correction here. So I'm going to call it there just because I don't want to make this video unnecessarily long. I want to get it out so you guys can see it. But the most important thing for you to keep in mind right now is that Bitcoin is very close to an all-time high breakout. If it breaks through 125.7, it's probably going to be all bets are off. So long as we can continue to set these new all-time highs, Bitcoin is most likely going to rally to $130,000 by October 15th. As we predicted back on September the 11th or so. And I firmly believe that you're going to see Bitcoin going into an explosive Q4, followed by, at worst, a mild to moderate bear market that will probably be shorter and smaller than what we've seen in the past, which would make sense because I do believe the 4-year halving cycle is dying. Much of this is driven by the crisis in confidence that currencies around the world are facing right now as they are going through unprecedented inflation. This is being driven by the massive surge on the price of gold that has gone up to almost $4,000 an ounce. We'll probably hit and break $4,000 an ounce soon, which is leading a massive amount of valuation into Bitcoin and other hard assets because, once again, people are concerned about M2 money growth. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about the fact that the Fed has not been able to get inflation under control. And we're also starting to price in these 2, maybe even 4 rate cuts that we're going to see from the Fed over the next 6 months or so. So the world is lining up in a direction where hard assets are going to absolutely freaking skyrocket, and you shouldn't be surprised if your Bitcoin holdings add 50 to 100% in their value over the next few months. So if you're not already holding a bag of Bitcoin, now is a time that if you're going to buy Bitcoin, you need to make sure you have a long time horizon. Say, I'm going to hold it for 5-10 years, right? Because we could see some kind of correction, right? We might go up to 180, drop down to 110. It can happen. So if you're willing to hold it for a long time, it's not a bad time to buy it. Still, 125 against $1 million, which is what we'll see in 5 to 7 years, is great. That said, the most important thing is to get your hands on some Bitcoin, self-custody it, put it in cold storage, and make sure you just lock it away, which is why we're also sponsored in part by Stampseed. If you guys have not already, sign up for Stampseed. On the stream this morning, I stamped a J into my very own Stampseed card. So if you want to stamp your seed phrases into titanium so they are completely fireproof, it's a great way to secure your wealth. Sign up for Stampseed with the link in the description box down below. Stampseed 15 is the, JEB15 coupon code. You get 15% off on all the products over on their store. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We do technical analysis content every single day here on the channel, and I'm very much looking forward to making some money with you in Q4. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a comment also, because I want to see what you have to say. And before I go, I do just want to first thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.